All right. We are here with Ms. Adilah Bonds, a returning guest on the Derek Shapiro podcast and cable show. Welcome. Of course, people know her from the classic Roseanne. You played Anne Marie.
That's correct.
You were in Erin Brockovich with
Julia Roberts.
Julie Roberts and Hilary Swank. Iron Jawed
Iron-Jawed
Angels.
Angels. That's right. Among many others. Yes.
Yes, and you were on the short-lived TV show on the CW just a few years ago.
4400. Yes. That was in 2021, I believe. Yes.
Just after the pandemic.
Well, you know what? It was during the pandemic. It was actually during the pandemic. And we shot the show in Chicago. So because of the pandemic, I would have to go and be tested before I got on the plane. Then when I get to Chicago, I get tested again before I went to a wardrobe fitting and before I went to the set. Testing.
Wow.
It was a different world then. And prior to that,
yes, it was.
Yes, during that same time, I was on NCIS. And we actually shot our scene with our masks on. So that's going to be a historic clip that I have because everybody in the scene has on a mask.
Yes, I saw that. So for the first time in television history, you didn't show your face. How did that make you feel doing the scene in your mask?
It was really different because I knew that with the mask, you weren't going to be able to hear me in quite the same way. However, we were well mic'd. So we had our mics on. And so as it turned out, the sound when it aired was actually very good because the mics were so close to us and so sensitive. So that was not a problem. However, with the mask, in the early days, I just had a hard time breathing. I remember the first time I had a mask on, I was walking around my backyard exercising, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to live like this? I can't even breathe. So sure. I've come a long way with the mask, as we all have.
So you're in California right now, right?
I'm in California right now. I'm bi-coastal, but mainly here.
Bi-coastal, and you have a place in Georgia too.
Yes, you've done your homework. You continue to do it.
Yes.
And that is my International Writers Retreat for Women. And that is called the Writers Well. And it's about 45 minutes south of the Atlanta airport in a town called Sharpsburg. Beautiful, very lush, very green, very woodsy, very peaceful, very safe. And women come internationally there to write. All different genres of writing, all the way from solo shows to academic writings to autobiographies, children's pictorial books, you name it, they're doing it. So quite an interesting selection of women who come and create whatever it is that they're working on at the time. And we've had women come from around the United States, but also from Ghana, from Puerto Rico, many, many cities.
Wow. So how did you get started into that in Georgia?
Well, I purchased the property there, and it's kind of an interesting story to me. I used to get astrology readings once a year during the time of my birthday in March. And so this one particular year, my astrologer said, oh, I see you living in Georgia. And I said, Georgia? I had performed in Georgia. I had gone there for the National Black Arts Festival a number of times. So Georgia was not unfamiliar to me, but I had never thought of living there or buying property there. And so I also had this woman come over to feng shui my home, who happened to also be an astrologer. And she said, oh, I see Georgia. And I'm like, what? Then my niece called me and said, Auntie, I'm moving to Atlanta. I need somebody to help me drive to Georgia. Can you help me? And I'm like, wait a minute. This is 3 times in a matter of days that the subject of Atlanta, Georgia came up. So I went down. I helped my niece drive. A friend helped us. We got there in like 48 hours, which I think is probably a record because we didn't stop. We just pretty much kept going. And so I began to look at properties, and I found this one particular property. Initially, I had housemates. And at one point, when it was no longer a property where I had a housemate, I said, I've got to do something with this. It's so beautiful. I have to share this. And I
Sure.
thought, I know what I'll do. I'll make it a writer's retreat for women. And
Wow.
that's what I did. And it still is that. It's the Writer's Well. So if people are interested, they can check us out. They can take a virtual tour. They would go to www.writerswellga.com.
So when do you have it? What month do you usually have
It's
that?
year round. It's year round. I have a caretaker who lives on the property. So if I'm not able to be there, people can book, women can book a stay, and I don't even have to be around. And
How
she
often
is
do you go
there.
there?
Huh?
How often do you go there?
It really depends. I haven't gone as often as I used to, especially my grandson now lives with me and he's going to college. And so my lifestyle's a little bit different now being here for him. And
Sure.
also because I have a caretaker, I'm not as worried about how often I go because whenever someone goes, they're going to be well taken care of, whether I'm there or not.
Because the first time I ever met you was in Marietta, Georgia. When I lived in
Yes.
Georgia, I lived in Georgia for 3.5 years. I'm going down there this month in April. I always go down there every April to visit my friends down there and my friend Vinny Bucci, who has a podcast. And actually, we'll be in broadcast on vinnythebucci.com too, on his website. And
Nice.
so in addition to that, when I met you with Florence LaRue, the lead singer for the Fifth Dimension.
That's right. That's right. She had come to the Writer's Well. She sure did.
Yes, and it was at a old, it was at a senior living home. I remember where you and Florence was.
Boy, you have a good memory. It was actually a library, and a senior group had come to the library for my book
Okay,
signing for my book,
that's
On
what
My
it
Own
was.
Terms, One Actor's Journey. That's
Yeah.
right.
I don't know if it was it Marietta or Stella or Mableton or something around there that
No, we
area.
were in Mariella. Mariella.
Marietta. Oh yeah, Marietta. Okay,
Marietta. Hmm.
yeah. And Marietta is so beautiful. I'm telling you, they shot a lot of
Gorgeous.
movies over there too.
I'm not surprised. And Georgia in general, they do a lot of shooting of movies down there. And they
Right
have
now,
down in Atlanta 4 studios. So a
yeah.
lot's going on down there.
Have you ever met Tyler Perry or seen Tyler Perry
I've
Studios?
not met him personally. However, I had an audition once that was through my agents here, but I was down there at the Writers' Well. And so I said, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This was before the pandemic. And they said, well, we can set it up where you go over to Tyler Perry's studio and they will record the audition and send it back to us. So that was before we started doing all this self taping here in Los Angeles. But I actually did go to his first studio. He has another one now that is much bigger and really incredible.
Oh,
And
yes.
so I was there at his studio, the first studio that he had, but he was not around. I did not meet him, but I saw his beautiful, beautiful space that he had at that time. And
Sure.
now what he has is even greater.
And of course, your co-star from Roseanne, John Goodman and Denzel Washington taped the movie Flight in Atlanta area too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Flight was a good movie. I'm telling you. That was amazing. I mean, I just love being in Atlanta because I'm an independent filmmaker myself, and I tape where I live in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Atlanta a lot. And Rhode Island right now they're taping a movie, and you know what? Two stars are in Rhode Island right now. Woody
Who?
Harrelson and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah, they're filming a
Jamie
movie.
Lee, she sure has made a comeback. She was
Yes,
nominated last year for an Oscar, I believe.
yes, she was. Yes, she
Yeah,
was. And
yeah.
and, and of course, your other co-star that was in I Enjoyed Angels, Hilary Swank. She just came out with a new movie, and I saw wonderful reviews about that. I haven't seen the movie myself,
Oh, excellent.
but
Excellent. I
she's
think
in,
she took a little break, a little hiatus too, and she's back as well.
yeah, because I think she had a child and everything like that, and uh,
It may
family.
be, it was something. I think it was family related. Uh-huh.
Yes. And how old's your grandson?
My grandson is 25.
Wow. So he's living with you right now.
He's living with me right now, and we're very close, so it's a blessing to have him near me.
That's cool because my son's 18. My daughter stays nearby. My parents stay nearby. So I'm nearby my 23-year-old, and we're all close with my parents, my kids, and
Oh, that's beautiful.
spend a lot of time, like all of us, because we all live in the same city of Cranston, Rhode Island, and
Wow.
yeah, and it's funny because I'm from Cranston, moved to Atlanta for 3.5 years, and moved to Massachusetts for 10 years. Now back in my home state of Rhode Island, and
So you've come full circle.
I came from. So I mean, it's funny because I really want to get out to California. I really want to. I have a few friends who live out there, including you, because I consider you a friend because you've been
Yes,
on my
it's
show
been
year
many
after year.
years. Many years. We
Many
do this
years.
once a year.
I'm telling you, like you've been on a lot of shows, but I think this should be on your IMD or your Wikipedia because
I'll talk to
you
my assistant about making that happen.
yes, because you've been on the Derek Shapiro show year after year,
That's
and
right.
and you haven't failed yet. I haven't failed yet contacting you, and you're a great ally to have. I mean, even off the air, like one time I was in Connecticut, not too far, and I saw the Roseanne.
Was that the reboot when they did the reboot?
On no, I just saw the whole Roseanne collection from the old.
Oh,
The
the
old
collection. Uh-huh.
and then I says, "Hey, Adilah, I called you up one day." I says, "Did you know you're?" and then every time I see you on TV Land, every time I see you on TV Land, I said, "I got to call you and say I see you on TV Land."
It's such a blessing. That's one of the wonderful things about reruns is that shows can live on forever and ever and ever. And we have
So
new audiences all the time.
so like when you're flipping through the channels, when you see yourself on TV Land, or your grandson sees you on TV Land, what does he think? What do you think?
Or my granddaughter. I have a granddaughter. She's 9.
Okay.
And of course, they're extremely proud. And I think it's just kind of weird, though. It's like, but that's my grandmother. And she's actually on the TV, but she's sitting right here. So it's really, I think it's just strange. But they really appreciate it and they appreciate the work that I do.
Sure. So you're not too bashful. Or embarrassed to watch yourself on TV, right? Because I like to watch myself on
Well,
TV.
when I have something that's airing and I know it's coming on, like when I did 4400, I knew when the different episodes were coming on. So I would sit down and I'd watch the episodes.
Mhm.
And of course, they edit. So everything is not necessarily how you shot it. But
Right.
most of what I have done in most of the projects that I've done, most of my work has been kept, which is a huge blessing. Not always. There was one time where I worked on a film and I was totally edited out. And it was the most embarrassing thing because I took my acting students to see the film.
Oh.
And we get there and I'm like, wait a minute, my scene should have been just a few minutes ago. And I'm like, wait a minute. So I actually was not in it. I was so absolutely embarrassed. However, what ended up happening was the director called me in for another project. So when I went in for the producer session, he was there, and the writer, he was the director, the writer was there, casting was there, all these elements that are oftentimes in auditions when you do live auditions. They were all seated there. And so I said to him, it was a big risk. It was a huge risk I took that day. But I said to him, I said, the project that I worked on with you previously, blah, blah, blah. I said, I took my students to see that. And I had been edited out and nobody told me that. And I said to the group, I said, excuse me a second. I just need to have a moment with our director here. And he was so embarrassed about that I think that's why he cast me in that film. Then I got another film from him after that. It was almost like, okay, we the editor out, so and she called me on it. So let's just give her the role and it'll be an even Steven deal. And so I got another project with him.
See,
that was risky because he could have said, I'll never work with her again.
Sure.
But he did the opposite. He said, let me be generous. Let me apologize. She's got the role.
Yeah. See, now having you in anything is just a mistake. See, having you in any role or any movie, I still know how to. I do better. Like I know how to do the send it into what do you call it? The guild
Screen Actors Guild.
Screen Actors Guild. I have a few actresses now and actors in my movies now that the Screen Actor Guild
that are in the guild.
So
that are union actors.
So I'll be asking you pretty soon. Hopefully, it'll be one of my movies because I've been asking you for years, and I now know how to submit it. Good and So just to act with you would be a privilege someday. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you, Derek.
You are a tremendous actress. I've seen you in many things. Knowing you have a lot of compassion, and you're just so down to earth. You know.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Any other things coming up? Any other projects coming up that we should know about?
Well, I just read for one project, and then my agents called me today and said they had a call from casting for another project, and they wanted to know my availability. So sometimes what that means is they will just offer you the role. You don't even have to audition. So they asked for availability. I let her know I was available. They haven't even written, they're still writing the script. So I don't know what's going to come of that, but it's always an honor when I am asked my availability without even auditioning. And that's exactly what happened today. And it's even more of an honor when sometimes I'm cast in something and I haven't even auditioned. So for example, when I did Erin Brockovich, I never read for Erin Brockovich. And that was one of my major roles. I never read for it. What happened was Steven Soderbergh, the director, he saw my tape. He saw my reel. He hired me from the reel. So when I got the offer, I thought, oh gosh, this must be an under 5. Under 5 means 5 lines or less. So I said, this must be an under 5. And so then when I read the script, I said, oh my goodness, she's throughout the whole movie. And so that was a blessing because I didn't even read for that. I got that role in Erin Brockovich. Anna was a character simply by the director, Steven Soderbergh, looking at my demo reel. So things like that happen sometimes. You just never know how work is going to come to you.
Sure. So this new project that's going to be out could be out in the next few months, do you think?
Well, usually the turnaround time is not that quick for a film.
More it's going to be a movie.
Yeah, it's a movie. More so for a series.
Okay.
The two that we're talking about now, they're actually both, I believe, going to be a film.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're looking forward for that in the next couple of years or so.
We're gonna claim it. Well, it would be sooner than the next couple of years, but we're gonna claim it. And what's interesting is I had a call from my niece. She is in the sorority called the Deltas. And they were celebrating their 100th anniversary at USC, University of Southern California.
Sure.
And I have the one-woman show, I Am That I Am Woman Black. It's toured 40 states, 3 continents. And I had retired the show. However, when she called me and I told her that, I said, well, Benita, I've retired the show. She said, you've retired the show? She used to be my booking agent and my booking manager in the early days up until probably my 35th state. And I said, yeah, I have. And so she asked me if I'd reconsider because one of the women of my 7 historical figures that I portray is Mary McLeod Bethune. And she was also a Delta. So she thought, if you can portray her for the group, that's one of our women, they will love it. And so I said, "Yeah, I'm going to give you other women that I know that portray historical figures, and maybe one of them has someone who is a Delta sorority sister, and they can do it." Oddly, I went to sleep that night, and then I had a dream. And in the morning, when I woke up, I was like, wait a minute. Because in the dream, and I'm not going to say a voice came to me. I'm not, into voices, or when people
Oh,
say God spoke to me and God said, I don't think in those terms. But there was a thought. And the thought was, find out if she already contacted one of the other actors that you shared with her who portray historical figures. If not, tell her you're going to do it. So I called her immediately. I said, Nita, you're not going to believe this. I had this dream, and I'm supposed to ask you, I suppose, have you contacted any of those women? And she said, no, not yet. And I said, then I'll do it. And I explained to her everything that I remembered from the dream. And she said, well, I think it's meant to be. So I went
wow.
ahead and I did it. That was on March 2nd. And I got a standing ovation. So it was just, it was meant to be, and it was beautiful. It was very humbling. And it was just a reminder that maybe my work is not done with that one woman show, because I did it, for someone else who asked me to perform an excerpt. So it may not be the end of the one woman show. I may continue to do it as people ask for it.
Hey, there's plenty of places in Rhode Island you got to come to if you ever come to Rhode Island.
Oh, and you know what? I'm trying to think. Is Rhode Island one of my 40 states? I think I did do Rhode Island. Yeah, I think I've done Rhode Island.
Oh my God.
I have 10 more.
If,
10
if,
more
if
that
you,
I did not get to.
if you ever come to Rhode Island again, some great places to go. Newport, Rhode Island, and I live right near a shopping center called Garden City. So it's
Oh,
like
wow.
it's like
Wow.
a lot
I
of
will
schools.
definitely keep that in mind, Derek. I will
Yeah.
definitely keep that in mind.
Thank you, Adilah Bonds, for joining me again this year, 2024. This is going to be a great year, and thank you very much, Adilah.
You're very welcome. And congratulations on your new market. You're now in New York. Yay!
New York.
How
It's
exciting
happening.
is that? All
Yes.
right.
The Statue of Liberty now can watch me.
There you go. There you go. So until the next time, Derek,
Until the next time,
take care.
take it easy.